Long before modern cities, borders, or global politics, there was a land that stirred the hearts of prophets, kings, and dreamers. A land where ancient footsteps still echo beneath the soil, and where every hill and valley has witnessed moments that changed not only its own people, but the course of world history. This is the story of Israel, a story carved in stone, written in scrolls, and carried in the memories of millions. It is a story of deep belief, unshakable identity, and survival against all odds. A land sacred to many and home to some of the most pivotal events in human civilization. The story begins not with a land, but with a man named Abraham. He was a nomad who lived in Mesopotamia, and one day, according to tradition, he heard a call to leave his home and go to a land that would be shown to him. This land would become the future home of his descendants. From Abraham came Isaac, then Jacob, whose name was later changed to Israel. That name would become the name of an entire people, the Israelites. Jacob had 12 sons, and their families would grow into the 12 tribes of Israel. But their journey was far from easy. Famine forced them to move to Egypt, where, over generations, they were turned into slaves. But they never forgot the promise of the land. That promise burned in their memory. The next great moment in their story was the escape from slavery. Led by a man named Moses, the Israelites walked out of Egypt in what they called the Exodus. It wasn't just a physical escape. It was the beginning of becoming a nation. In the wilderness, they received laws, traditions, and the belief that they were chosen for a purpose. It would take 40 years of wandering before they entered the land they believed was promised to them, the land of Canaan. Once there, they began to settle and slowly form a kingdom. As the Israelites grew in number, they eventually formed a monarchy. The first king was Saul, followed by the famous King David, who united the tribes and made Jerusalem the capital. David's son Solomon built a magnificent temple, the center of their worship and national pride. But after Solomon's rule, the kingdom split in two, Israel in the north and Judah in the south. This division weakened them, and over time, both were conquered by foreign empires like the Assyrians and Babylonians. The temple in Jerusalem was destroyed, and many Israelites were taken away from their land. But again, they held on to their identity. After years of exile, some of the people were allowed to return to Jerusalem and rebuild. This period marked the beginning of what we now know as Judaism, where even without a king or full control of their land, the people stayed united through religion, community, and law. However, foreign powers continued to rule over them: the Persians, the Greeks, and later the Romans. During Roman times, a major revolt led to the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE, and most of the Jewish population was scattered across the world. This was the start of a long period called the Diaspora. For nearly 2,000 years, the Jewish people lived without a homeland. They spread out into Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East, often facing discrimination, persecution, and even expulsion from different countries. Despite this, they kept their traditions alive. They prayed facing Jerusalem. They kept the memory of their land through stories and holy days. Every generation passed down the hope: next year in Jerusalem. In the late 1800s, as nationalism rose across the world, a movement called Zionism began to take shape. It was the idea that Jews should return to their ancient homeland and rebuild it as a safe place for their people. This dream grew stronger after centuries of suffering, and especially after the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews were murdered during World War II. In 1947, the United Nations voted to divide the land of Palestine into two states, one for Jews and one for Arabs. On May 14, 1948, the Jewish leaders declared the State of Israel. From that moment on, Israel became a country once again. But peace was not easy. Right after its independence, it was attacked by neighboring Arab countries. Wars followed in 1956, 1967, 1973, and beyond. Israel survived, but the conflict with Palestinians and other neighbors has never fully ended. Despite the challenges, Israel built a modern state. From deserts, they made farms. From ruins, they built cities. People came from all over the world: Europe, America, North Africa, Ethiopia, Russia, returning to a land they had only heard of in stories. Today, Israel is a small but powerful country in the Middle East. It leads in science, technology, and medicine. Jerusalem remains its capital, though the world still debates its status. The conflict with the Palestinians continues to shape life in the region, and peace still feels far away. But the people of Israel continue on. Some see Israel as a miracle, a nation reborn after 2,000 years. Others see it as a place of conflict and struggle. But no matter how it's seen, it remains one of the most unique and powerful stories in history. The story of Israel is not simple. It's filled with faith, war, survival, and rebirth. It's the story of a people who lost their land and found it again. A people who were scattered across the earth and came home. A story that still continues day by day, year by year,